Okay, I'll start by answering some of Richard's questions about woven. It's actually, I wasn't planning to say this, but I'll be fairly brief. So the concept of woven came from the observation that weaver ants are edible. So that's an interesting fact in itself, which you may not have known. And I guess the notion is that at the moment we have a number of people working on insect food and feed in the UK, possibly in fairly isolated form, ploughing their own particular furrow, getting away with it, doing what they can. And our aim is to weave it all together into a massive nest which has much greater structural strength, stability and sustainability. And I'm really pleased that although I'm standing here, there's quite a number of people amongst you who have been part of that process of bringing woven together and bringing this event together. And although this is actually the first time that a number of us have met, we've been doing a great deal through teleconferencing and the like and formed a good team. And we intend to carry on building and growing. So that's woven, and our aim is to build a network that benefits all of you in your various endeavours. I just want to spend a bit of time talking about woven, and I guess it's probably primarily to try and get as many of you as possible to join, if I'm honest, but also to give us information about what you're doing, because we want to be a force for supporting the community in the UK looking at insects as food and feed. And that means we have to know about that community, we have to build a community. People on their own are not a community, people who are connected can become a community. So we want to be a voice on behalf of you and others. Sadly, as has been said, this is sold out. We have other people who wanted to be here. We need to be able to demonstrate the scale of the sector, how much research is going on, how many businesses are there that are starting up, what are the areas of their business, what stage are you all at? And then we can more effectively, collectively work together. And it's about, say, turning individuals into a community and bringing more people into this area in the UK and maybe bringing entrepreneurs back into the UK. So we're keen to support anyone who's interested in it. You don't have to join, you can get our newsletter, you can visit our website, you can come to our events, and you benefit from the UK lobbying on your behalf. But we are offering a membership package which we hope people will think is attractive. It's a small fee, and for that you get more in-depth articles and other resources that we'll be putting together in time, building our members directory, having an online forum for people to have discussions about topics, and coming to events at a discounted rate. We're going to work on the details of that shortly. And I guess early notification might be increasingly popular, given the say that we're having to turn people away today. I won't spend too much more time on that, but I think the main point is that we want to go much further. We want woven to be really powerful. So it's not just about forming a club and people joining and kind of meeting each other, and that's cool, and building relationships. We want to do practical things which help people. We've got more of an idea of what businesses need than we had, if I'm honest, about what researchers need. So we're keen to hear more from the research side of things. And we think there's real power in connecting research and business together. On the business side, though, we've got a number of ideas we're exploring. I'm having a conversation with the British Standards Institute next week to explore whether there could be some industry standards developed which could be informed by industry that set a bar that mean that the customers understand and have confidence that whatever products they encounter are going to be fit for purpose and safe and suitable. If the UK and the BSI establish those standards, that then can become an international standard or the basis for international standard, and that means the UK can be at a leading edge as things start to develop. So it's a really powerful opportunity, and BSI have done this in a number of other areas. You may be interested to know they have an agreement for mutual recognition of standards with China, the Chinese Standards Authority. So if we agree a standard here, that could then be taken up in China. So novel foods applications, something many of the businesses are going to be facing as they're going forward, putting together that portfolio of evidence, submitting it, getting it approved. Cost is significant, and the work involved in doing the research is significant. Woven could have a role in maybe bringing some of that together, reducing costs by economies of scale. We think there's scope to do more with the consumer engagement side of things. I know that you're going to hear about the Protein Insect Project, been doing some work on that. But clearly, consumer acceptance of the area, whether it's food or feed, is something that's going to be increasingly critical as we go forward. And again, working together, having a coherent method and message is important, potentially. We could, again, provide routes to market. If that would be helpful, we kind of want to get your reactions to all these ideas. I'm also involved in another project which is setting up major new visitor attractions around the world. They're keen to have novel foods as part of that concept, and so I'm kind of connecting in, or potentially could connect in, people who've got insect-related products as part of that concept. And there's a need for infrastructure. One of the things we're seeing as we talk to people across the sector is that there's no strong manufacturing base. Things like standards aren't in place. So generally, building that infrastructure, again, will help the UK to be more successful, able to grow, able to be more than just a set of small startups and entrepreneurs. So these are things that we're exploring. We're coming up with ideas. We're doing a survey, and we want to get your input on this. And hopefully today you can talk to all of us and say which of these ideas you think really seems to be most important and powerful, and how you'd want to go forward. Oh yeah, key risk areas. Yes, well, one of the things, we had a meeting with the Food Standards Agency about the new novel foods regulation, and one of the topics that came up was about allergenicity and the extent to which insect products can lead to allergic reactions. I know a number of you in the food area are conscious of that. We don't really have a strong or a clear approach to it, and I think that needs to be something that needs more research. And again, we can work together to help build that. So we're having a conversation with FSA about what we're going to do. Okay, so we want to understand and champion the sector. We've got 60 people here, which is great. 22 woven members, so you can see the maths there. I'm keen to kind of convert as many of you as possible to being members. And we're carrying out a survey at the moment of the researchers and the industry entrepreneurs involved in this. At the moment, we've got 12 responses to that survey. And that survey is telling us about things like the amount of revenue that's been generated through insect products in the UK. I think 1.2 million sounds like a lot, but actually it's very small. I think we need to again have a better story about that, and potentially about the potential that this could grow into if we want to be taken serious by government and by government agencies, to show that actually this is a potentially very big sector. We've got global markets. You can see the kind of, again, just adding up the responses we've had to the survey, how many insect units or units involving insect we're expecting to sell this year. Again, it sounds like quite a large number, but I think it's probably only a small proportion of what's actually happening. We're asking people about their consumer engagement. Have they had trials of their products? What kind of response are they getting to the trials? Very different levels of acceptance reported, from 15 to 80%. But some companies have got hundreds of thousands of products out there, and so that again, if we could collate that data in some way, we could have a much stronger message that actually people are buying these things. It's not saying that most people are pouring. If you read the Guardian article, which came out recently, is Nick here? Nick Fleming? Okay, Nick Fleming wrote the article. I can't believe he's not here. Anyway, he says that there was some survey of novel foods and alternatives to protein, and only 27% of people were willing to try insects. Only 27% of people, and if we get 27% of the UK population eating products with insects in, that's a pretty big market. So I don't find that depressing at all. And what we're seeing is lots of new people coming into the sector, not just about food products, but about livestock, about farming technology, about farming itself. And we want to see that kind of expansion and that breadth growing. Again, then you can be connected to suppliers, build supply chains in the UK rather than dependent on Canadian cricket farms or whatever it might be. And at the moment, we really don't have any figures on the amount of funding that's going into research in this area. Really useful to know that, to be able to say PBSLC needs to put a lot more funding into this. So this is a slide I did about a bit over a year ago. I think the only person in the room who may recognise it is Shami, because I presented this to the Global Food Security Programme, which is a collective of research bodies and government departments to looking at what we can be doing in the UK to support global food security. And I wanted to make the point that the UK has a significant opportunity to get more involved in insect food and feed. And I did a survey at the time of where people are at in terms of putting products out there. And the most sort of the long-term ones were restaurants and the website that's been out for quite a while, but there's others that are selling products, restaurants that are just starting, but there's sort of space of people that aren't yet doing anything. This camera is moving into new areas, so farming, technology, and also the feed that I mentioned. So the yellow represents food and the red represents feed. So I'm keen to kind of see that picture change over time, and I'm keen, obviously, to be a force that will help to make that picture change over time as we can knock down the barriers. So you get a sense of, the more Woven understands about you as a community, the more we can act on your behalf and benefit you. I think I've got time for one more slide. So this is just sort of some observations. It's not particularly sophisticated, but I thought I'd end on a kind of a note that you might find stimulating. In terms of food, insect for food, I think in terms of the prominence of insect materials in products consumers encounter, it's a bit wordy, isn't it? I suspect we're going to see that reducing. So at the moment we've got a lot of insect snacks. People are eating insects visibly, and that's what the media like. The media picks up on it, doesn't it? You know, they can see, you know, someone putting a cricket into their mouth as being very interesting. I think in time we'll see less of that, but we will see an increase in the range of products containing insect materials. That's my hope, clearly. And I think it's this migration that we're seeing now. We're at a stage now where we've got more insect-based protein bars. We'll see some of those available today. We're moving into more mainstream food products where insect material is incorporated into it, is adding real value to that product, but is much more mainstream, more familiar to people. And I think that's where I'm hoping that we'll see the volume of insect materials within the human food chain really increasing. So that's a topic for further discussion. I think you're all interested in that. Okay, I've managed to finish well in advance of time, so that's good. Any questions at this point? Stunned silence. So what you're going to hear is 2 sessions with research being presented, and then we're going to hear some businesses, and then we've got a panel discussion at the end discussing the relationship between research and business. Tony.
Just a quick question. There's a lot of things that were on that list of objectives. Are there any timescales attached to any of them at the moment, or are they just all to be discussed?
We haven't got into the detail to work out the timescales, and we need to work out what the sort of financials of them would be, how much work they involve, that sort of thing. So we're keen to get your reactions to which ones you think would be maybe the priorities. That would be really helpful for us to understand, and then what involvement you can bring to that. Any other comments? Okay, I'll hand over to who's chairing the next session. Good, Meredith.
Thanks very much.
I'm